Tonight's episode of the Sunday Night Talk is up. It is here. It is ready. Week 6 in the NFL. Omar Carmona is back in the man cave. I'm in the studio. We record this Sunday night. We recorded it mid-game of the Sunday night game. We talk about our boredom with this game. You'll hear it all, not to mention the whole breakdown of Sunday in the NFL and beyond. But first, don't forget shows coming up for me next month. The 11th of November, I am back in the clubs, 9:30 p.m. Flappers Comedy Club is where you go. See me doing live stand-up comedy. Today on the show, as I mentioned, Omar Carmona is back in the man cave. That's where he records from. We talk Gruden. We talk the must-watches of the week. We talk the must-misses of the week. We get into conspiracy theories, division leaders, and of course, our way too early picks, our way too early coach of the year, and then a fun challenge for Omar that I dug out from the archives to give him. So, a lot to look forward to. It's week 6 in the NFL. It's October. The NFL's here to stay. Buckle up because the Sunday Night Talk is here right now. Sunday Night Talk is here for week 6. We are recording this 8:14 West Coast time. Omar Carmona is with me. Special note, we are recording this with 4 minutes left in the Sunday night game. We didn't even wait for this game to end this week, Omar.
Oh, no point.
Let's just start talking now. We were texting each other like, this game's tied with 5 minutes left to go in the game.
And I can't get into it.
And neither of us are that into this game. Chris Collinsworth has no quarterback to fall in love with. Al Michaels is not even in the booth. Ben Roethlisberger is fumbling the ball into his feet. And we're just totally disinterested in this game.
In a weird way, it seems like a perfect ending to a Sunday that began with the Dolphins-Jaguars in London. You know what I mean?
I was going to say...
And that was a close game, too. And it's going to get into it.
Coming off of last week, where week 6 in the NFL, or as Urban Meyer calls it, the best week ever. Who had a better week this week than Urban Meyer? The heat is off him, and he won a football game. I think he's still celebrating right now.
You know, it's one of those few things that that happened in Gruden's life where people were able to say, well, at least Urban didn't do that.
Right. Here's my quick bullet points on Sunday night's game, and then we're going to start with Gruden talk. We got, going into this game, Big Ben is old talk. The Geno Smith era is going to be going for the next couple weeks. We had the rare 0-0 score at the end of the first quarter. Then the only excitement in this whole game is when NBC ran Russell Wilson doing a pregame routine kind of in the commercial, and they had his audio too, which was really funny because he's like, oh, first and 10, here we go. It was like kind of awkward, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved it.
How annoying did you think he was? He just sounded kind of annoying.
Right. It sounds weird, but I can't imagine anybody sounds good when they're sort of shadow boxing or they're shooting hoops by themselves. In a day and age where we're recording everything, we're drumming up every old email communication, then I just say it's game on. Everything should be recorded. My next question was, are the Steelers good? ? I still have no idea. Al Michaels is not doing this game. He had the foresight to skip this game.
Now real quick, do you think this is also these types of breaks where NBC's, obviously we're planning on Al Michaels' retirement pretty soon?
He skipped 2 games last year too. So I don't know if this is just written into his contract where he's like, I'm not doing a full season. I'm skipping a game in October. I'm skipping a game in late November. And that'll just be my deal. Collinsworth, you got the wheel.
Right. Yeah, that could be it.
It would be fun because Tirico's taking over, if Collinsworth, number one, just go solo. Let's just see what you have to say. We've seen the Manning cast on Monday nights through Zoom, and that's plenty entertaining to
That
me.
is. It is pretty good.
So just Collinsworth, just go solo, or Collinsworth, you pick a guy you want to team up with.
Right.
And let's see who you
Yeah.
pick, and let's just have fun with it. Who cares? It's the fourth quarter. We already don't care. I pray to God they don't bludgeon us with overtime.
Now,
So
you're NBC and you're looking for Collinsworth's next partner, are you looking for somebody who really likes Collinsworth or someone who just tolerates Collinsworth?
I don't know. This day and age where everything has to be so down the middle, so by the book, it's you got to find someone they generally can communicate with. You can't
Right.
get your Dennis Miller. You can't spice it up anymore. A former player is out because Collinsworth is essentially the former player.
Right.
So, you got a Collins, you got an Al Michaels. Who else are the heavy hitters? You got a Bob Costas. You've got a Tirico's probably in there somewhere. So it's a marquee job. So I would think Al Michaels isn't going anywhere for the next couple of years, but total overhaul or new guy for Collinsworth? That seems to be the question.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Manning should probably be in play. Just stick
Oh
Peyton
wow,
Manning
wouldn't that be something?
stick both them in. Neither of them are like the traditional broadcaster, but I don't know who really cares at this point. Put the Manning
Right.
brothers in there. Put both Eli and Peyton in there. That'd be funny.
That'd be hilarious.
What do we care? All right, we're gonna keep tabs on the Sunday night game. They're gonna play till someone wins or the entire crowd falls asleep.
Right.
One or the other. Okay, I want to start with Gruden talk this week. That was the major headline of the week. I think we all got the initial reaction was how offended we all are to the actual language. But then I think as the week progressed, I think the actual story is how these emails, how this leak all came about. So I have a Gruden timeline for you. I'm going to read off. Okay, midweek. An NFL investigation of the Washington organization reveals emails between John Gruden and Bruce Allen with Gruden using language. The original story was that it was an ESPN investigation into emails. That was proven untrue. It was an NFL investigation. Gruden coaches that Sunday against the Bears. On the Sunday night cast, Tony Dungy and Mike Tirico both defend Gruden's character, having worked with him at ESPN. Randy Moss and Keyshawn Johnson both do not. They both trash John Gruden for his emails 10 years ago, which, quick editorial, Randy Moss, didn't you run over a guy in a car? You were hurt by the emails? You ran over a guy.
That was actually wasn't it a female cop?
I believe it was a female like traffic, maybe a meter aid, which he paid a fine, got suspended for. Keyshawn Johnson trashes Gruden. However, not necessarily about any emails. He trashes him. He just didn't like him.
Yeah.
I just don't think they had a good experience together. So Keyshawn Johnson trashes. Keyshawn Johnson was also the guy who got kicked off his own team for
Right.
character issues at one point in his career. On Wednesday, John Gruden resigns. He's not fired. He resigns. Debate on how that came to be. The day following, the Tampa Bay Bucks remove him from their Ring of Honor from the Super Bowl they won. And I say, Bucks, if you want to go full woke, give the Super Bowl to the Raiders. How about that? Let's go all the way.
I don't know about that.
I don't think they're going to do that either, but why not give that whole Super Bowl back?
Good try though. Good try.
Okay, my first question is, I have a slew of questions from this timeline. Okay, Gruden resigned. He was not fired. Do you think he resigned, or do you think Mark Davis gave him the option? It's like, hey, we got to let you go, or you can resign.
Oh, I think they put Mark Davis in a position where he had no choice.
So you think the NFL told him, get rid of this guy, and Mark Davis said, okay, we're gonna get rid of you. What's the call? And he resigns. Okay, here's my questions. Looking at this investigation. Number one, who leaked these emails? Who saw these and was like, okay, everybody take a look at this. I saw a report unconfirmed that they knew about this in June. These emails were known about in June, unconfirmed. Question number two, why leak the Gruden stuff? If this is an investigation into Washington, did they just see the Gruden stuff and it's like, hey, I got an ace in the sleeve here?
But from what it sounds like to me, These were during talks. I remember. Do you recall when we were going through when the NFL was going through the lock? Was it the lockout? Because
Yes, this is
it
during
wasn't
that
a
time.
strike. It was a lockout. And I believe that there. And remember, Gruden was media back then. He wasn't a coach. So I think part of him being in the media was he had he's got to have some insiders and whatnot. So it appears to me, and again, I'm just hypothesizing here, but it sounds like somebody was emailing him certain insider information as far as this is what's going to happen, this is a sticking point, this is how we're going to vote on this, we're going to say no to that. And it looks like other things just came out because that what it was interesting, it was him talking about Jeff Fisher feeling pressured to draft Michael Sam, an openly gay NFL at the time. Um, and him, the choice words for Goodell, because Goodell's always had a struggle, being popular, but that should come as no surprise. But I mean, this was this time during the lockout, Goodell's unpopularity, if you will, was at an all time.
Yeah,
And it's never been that worse. It's been bad, but it's never been that bad
yeah,
since then.
yeah.
So then
Good
him
point.
shots at Goodell. So I don't know. I think he was just it was because he got he's emailing people, and it's during an important time in the NFL with this loom lockout. So yeah, I just think he got caught up in the moment.
Question number 3, is this the NFL versus the Raiders? Was the NFL looking for a way to stick it to the Raiders? If I'm going to go conspiracy hat Pat, we could go down a good roll of the NFL being anti-Raiders throughout the year. Do you think NFL's had a shot to get at the Raiders this way?
If Al Davis were still alive, he'd obviously be feeding into this conspiracy. Okay.
Yeah.
But I just think now owners are in a position, whether Al Davis was still alive or, um, it's his son Mark or any other owner for that matter. I just think they were put the owner, regardless of how offensive or deplorable they found the comments, any owner would have to do what Mark Davis did.
Question number 3. Did the Raiders see this as a way to get out of the Gruden contract? Did the Raiders?
It's a big contract.
He was
You know
4
what?
years into a 10-year deal. They're they're in the midst of a
I
decent
mean,
season so far, but did the Raiders see this as a way to get out of the contract?
because now Mayock has now roster decision making final approval, right? I mean,
Right?
that was part of Gruden's deal, is that he was the one that I think that would be hard to believe, said Pat, because gosh, with Gruden basically constructing that whole roster, I think you'd have to let it ride. I mean, if they started out 0-5, then I'd say yeah, they won out.
Yeah.
But I mean, 3-2, you still got a shot, and 4-2 today, right? And so no, I think they would have preferred to keep him as their
Yeah,
coach.
there'd been no reports of them butting heads, Gruden with management, owners with the coaches. So I don't think the Raiders wanted him out. 4 years into a 10-year deal. The Raiders do well with the salary cap in this deal. So that's a little more conspiracy. Next question, and it's more of a statement or a prediction. I think more's coming from this emails. More is on its way. This onion is just going to keep getting peeled and peeled and peeled. And that's why it leads me to my next question. Should the Raiders have just tried to ride this out? He apologized for Sunday night. He coached against the Bears. Should they have just tried to ride this out? Because let's go backwards another week. Urban Meyer was the story. So who knows what the story is going to be next week? Could they
No,
have just tried to apologize and move on and hope that something blows over?
I think so. I don't know if anything could be this bad, but I do want to throw out that I found most offensive. No, believe me, I found the things he said very offensive, and I'm not totally buying his excuses, and I think he knew what he was saying. Again, I think he just got caught up in the moment, but horrible things to say. But what I found also very offensive was Ernie Pash's emails to Al. there in Washington. Basically, he's an attorney for the league, but he seems to have favorites, and I think that could be something very dangerous that that's why people are complaining.
Yeah.
It's a hard white man's club to crack, the NFL is, and this I think only feeds into it.
Yeah, that's why I think this story is going to keep going. And if you wanted to keep him as the coach, if you really, really wanted to, I think you could have rode this out because I think there's another bomb coming somewhere. That's what's feeding my conspiracy of the Raiders wanted him out and they saw this as a way to do it because I think you could ride this out. I really think you do because he was essentially fired for being vulgar. I've been around coaches in different sports. They speak different languages. They
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
do. They want to be vulgar. This was 10 years ago. And if I ask you the question, yes or no, do we really think John Gruden is racist, sexist, or homophobic? Do we really think that? The answer is no. Do I think John Gruden uses bad language and is extremely vulgar? Yes, I do think that. So it becomes, I think he's the vulgarity and the choice of words is what's got him here. And then,
What's
like you said earlier, they're left with no choice.
What's interesting though is some players, Keyshawn Johnson was very vocal, and he thought that he didn't think this was. He thought that these were John Gruden's true colors, but there have been some
Right. No
players,
examples of Gruden doing any of these things. Just
right?
Keyshawn just trashed him. Yeah.
But again, he didn't say anything. But there are also some non-white players that have come forward for Gruden and said, no, I don't believe he's a racist. So
Yeah.
it's all about perspective. And Keyshawn was having contractual issues with the Buccaneers at that time, and I feels that Gruden was part of the leadership that led him out of Tampa Bay after winning a Super Bowl. So I mean, again, it's all about perspective.
Yeah, you're right. Charles Woodson and Tim Brown were the two former players that um, basically took his back or said that they didn't have any ill will, any bad things to say about him.
Yeah.
Next question. Still no comments from Goodell. He hasn't had the press conference. He hasn't had any comments about this whatsoever. I find that a tiny bit unusual that Goodell is
Maybe
always.
that's the big bombshell. Some emails Goodell sent out, and
Yeah.
it's just best to stay quiet. That would be the one human being in the NFL that would supersede any of bad emails, whether it
Mhm.
be a Urban Meyer grabbing ass in a bar in Columbus, or John Gruden with these misogynistic, racist undertone emails. A bad email from Goodell would blow the lid off everything.
Maybe it's coming. We don't know. We
We
don't
don't know.
know. And then my last question is, why was John Gruden talking to Bruce Allen anyway? So I had to research this a
So
little
again,
bit.
wouldn't you say that was because he was maybe getting some inside information?
But why would Bruce Allen want to give inside information to John Gruden, who's in the media? So I looked it up, and Bruce Allen started his career in 1996 with the Oakland Raiders. I didn't find out when he left, so maybe they were friends, maybe they were colleagues, maybe that was leading to why Gruden was so casual with his
Yeah.
language with Bruce Allen. But I'm like, why is John Gruden, who's in the media, talking with the Washington football team executive director? Why are they even talking?
Right.
Unless they had a friendship, unless they had some previous relationship. So is it to the point where Bruce Allen is saying like, hey, you're in the media. Let me give you a few tidbits here. You tell me what's going on over there. So I'm like, why are you guys talking? What's the nature of your relationship? And it leads me to my last sort of thought is because initially it was reported this was an internal ESPN investigation, which is where Gruden was working at the time. No, this is an NFL investigation, and this was John Gruden's personal email to Bruce Allen. So this wasn't a company
And
server
we'll
or
talk
anything.
about that. I noticed here we'll talk about that at the end, but I mean, come on, people. I mean, I just think that there's ways to communicate to people that using email, just not smart.
Well, what's the lesson here? Never say bad things 10 years ago because I don't think we would have been able to make that call 10 years ago.
Yeah, but I
Voice
think I think I think the
voicemails,
lesson
texts,
here
they're
is
all
the
open.
lesson the lesson today in 2021 is you cannot erase anything from the internet.
2021, but what about 2011? We didn't.
Hey,
I don't think we thought like that yet.
I really think we should have known enough by 2011 to know, hey, what you say there, it can come bite you in the ass one.
I would agree. People in the know were saying that. I don't think we all were so self-aware that anything typed onto it can be recorded. So it's a weird. We're in this no man's land of what's private and what is not, and I have questions about that later.
Right.
So let's talk Sunday games. I had 3 must-watch games this week, and
like them.
I have 2 must-misses. My must-watches, I think the big one of the day was Dallas, New England. Dallas goes to New England. I always hate these cross-country trips. So Dallas goes to New England. It goes to overtime. Here's my funny thing with overtime. Does this ever make you laugh? You get into overtime, and they bring the 2 captains to the center of the field, and the referee explains overtime. Like, we know how overtime works.
Yeah, I think by now you really wonder what the whole point is.
Has the referee ever explained, like, all right, now you get the ball, but if you score a touchdown, the game's over, and the other guy's like, what the fuck? That's how this works?
Yeah.
We all know the rules of overtime by this point. Here's Dak's stat line. I think he was the MVP of that game. 36 for 51. 445 yards, 3 TDs, 1 interception, 0 sacks. And the last play, Romo calls it 3 plays ahead. He calls the play. They're lined up in the formation. They get a false start. They line up in the formation again. They run a play. And then like another play later, they run it again, and that's how they get the touchdown in overtime for the win.
It was a great game. And I just want to say this. Yes, and Dak is going to get an MRI tomorrow on his leg. I think there was maybe his calf, maybe something to look out for. But this Patriots team really tested Dallas's defense. Dallas's defense had been playing really, really well in the weeks leading up to this game, and they were tested today. I want to point out one thing, though. Even though they lost, these Patriots, I understand that Brady had way more success in Tampa Bay since he left than New England's had under Belichick. But I do want to say, they're an up-and-coming team. They're rebuilding with a new quarterback, but they're not a bad team. And they hung tight with the Buccaneers, and now they hung tight with the Cowboys. Is it hanged tight or whatever it is? Hung tight, I don't know. But they're
canceled.
Yeah, they well. So again, these are the Dallas used to. So something to look out for. The Dallas Cowboys playing well into January.
Yeah, you're right about the Patriots. They played Tampa Bay tough. They played Dallas tough, and Dallas had some luck break their way in this game because they were giving away points early in the game, turnovers. Fumbles, and then they got the pick 6 that put them right back in the game. So it seems like these were the breaks Patriots got 5 seasons ago, and Dallas got them on the road this week. So last week I was talking, Dallas is streaking right now. They're on fire. I don't think Dallas could beat any higher right now. I haven't looked at who they play next week, but they've got to be top 3 teams in the league. If I'm picking my Mount Rushmore of teams right now for week 6.
All right, we're gonna talk about the Mount Rushmore, but we'll get to that. The next game I see you have here,
my must watch,
Vegas, Denver. Obviously,
this was a little more of a personal pick for me.
But even though I think people want to see how Vegas was going to react to the after the week they had. I mean, a coaching change, especially one as tumultuous as this. Yeah, I didn't mind you putting this game up there. It's a division game, and didn't I say from the beginning, Denver's just that 3-0 team that comes out 3-0, and all the fan base is salivating, and sure enough, let's fire off 3 straight losses.
3 in a row with Teddy Two Gloves.
Yeah,
I would have been very.
Raiders look good. They put on points today.
I would have been very curious to see the reaction if this had been a home game in Vegas. Because I think in the court of public opinion, maybe the court of public football opinion, I don't think people look at Gruden as a pariah, as a horrible person. So I would just curious to see how the fans would have received the team coming out on the field if we had any signs depicting Gruden as a good guy. I'm just curious. I could be wrong, but I'd be curious to say, okay, Vegas has their new head coach. He was the special teams coordinator. They elevate him to head coach. The Raiders are playing exceptional in every facet of this game. The one thing they didn't play well on is they got an onside kick recovered against them. Special teams. It was so weird and ironic that was the only blind spot they had was Denver kicked an onside kick and they got it. Special teams. But that was it. That game was excellent. They killed them. And it's always good to get a division win. And then I think I texted you, every time Derek Carr gets in trouble, I think he just throws the ball 40 yards in the air and Ruggs just goes and runs and seems to catch it like a center fielder every time.
Right, yeah.
It's totally their play. It's their safety blanket. They're just like, all right, well, it's 3rd and 12. Let's just throw it up 40 yards in the air and Ruggs will catch it. So that was my other must watch, which was good. And my last one was Arizona at Cleveland. I thought it would be a better game than it turned out to be.
Yeah, that was it was a dominant performance. Obviously, at the first half, that Hail Mary that Baker fired in there at the last second, it kind of was a good way to add, and it put them in striking distance. Hey, that this Cardinals team, and I hate to say it because they're in the 49ers division, they're a tough team. You know, they are the if you're gonna do rankings like they do in college, this is the top dog right now.
Last undefeated team in the league, am I right?
Yeah, and I do think that right now they could beat anyone. Now, we'll skip to the Mount Rushmores now, but you know, right behind Arizona's firmly number one. Okay, but you know, lurking out there, you got two teams that lost their opener. And we're talking about the Ravens and the Bills, that they're steam people now.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody, you know, the fact that, you know, everyone's talking up the Chargers, it looks like they, in the West, they just, you know, the Raiders, we think that they're better than the Broncos, and then they pass the Chiefs, and now you're thinking, wow, this is Justin Herbert's division, and now he's going to run through the AFC now, and it's like, oh, the Ravens put them in their place today. That game was not close. That was not fun to watch.
That was the big come down game of the week, was the Chargers. Hey, last week John Gruden got canceled. This week the Chargers offense got canceled. I think they had 3 points in 3 quarters.
Brutal. And you also put and then I noticed your must misses here. Oh yeah, I'm with you. There was a lot more. Houston, Indianapolis. That was a terrible game.
That was a skippable game. Oh. And I don't know if we should just throw the Sunday night game. Pittsburgh's up 3 points, 18 seconds left. Somehow this game is still going. Do we need to talk about Indy? Indy's 2-3, right?
Let's not even bother.
Do we need? Is this a false lead?
I saw a meme today that was so true, and it was directed at Patrick Mahomes. But it was like, never give a quarterback a second contract, and it had Wentz's picture there. it had somebody else, but then it had Mahomes. So obviously they were digging at Mahomes. But no, the Colts aren't good. The Texans aren't good. The Jaguars aren't good. The Dolphins aren't good. The Bengals are good. The Bengals are good, but you know, you put them in the must miss because, you know, Detroit never had a chance against them.
Yeah.
Another must miss for me was, and it's so sad because, you know, historically the Rams and Giants have had good games, but that was a blowout. You know, that wasn't even fun to watch.
That was a horrible game. Interesting thing. Oh, let me go back to AZ Cleveland real quick. Cliff Kingsbury is on the COVID list, so he didn't get to be the head coach for this game. I'm still not convinced that you don't have to be on the field to coach a game. Can't you be in a booth or in a cone of silence somewhere or in a radio station and still call the game? So then I was thinking, like, why don't the Raiders say they fired John Gruden, but he's secretly still coaching them from a bunker somewhere? that was my other thought. Did you have must watch or must miss for the London game? Jacksonville, Miami. Two teams from Florida ironically go all the way to London to play each other.
I would have put them must miss because they're just not they're not good football teams.
Not to
They're
mention the game is over by 9 a.m.
Yeah, they're not. They're. I just don't find Florida teams, a reason to wake up that early in the morning.
Let's get a game update. I'm just catching the side of my eye here. Seattle, we have zeros on the clock, but Seattle is not left the field. Okay, we're reviewing if there's any time left on the field. They spiked the ball.
Oh, he got a second. They had a second left.
I'm watching the replay. Why didn't Oh, he fumbled it.
He fumbled it, and they didn't have any timeouts.
Got it. He fumbled it. Seahawks recover it. Now they're rushing the line to spike it. DJ Metcalf could have just stepped out of bounds. Okay, keeping an eye on that.
That's what he should have done.
And then a spike should be a second.
DJ Metcalf should have held on to the football. That seemed like a pretty easy knockout to me.
And also, we're getting a lot of footage of Russell Wilson talking to the officials. Like, the guy can't get away from the game. He cannot get away from the game. He's essentially coaching this team.
Real quick, what did you think about Aaron Rodgers' this week? There was a little disrespect to the Bears. They asked him in one of the meetings with the media, can you name all the starting quarterbacks the Bears have had? And since you took over in Green Bay, and he named like the last two, and that was it. He named Trubisky and Fields, and like basically said that's it. That's all he could remember. He didn't even remember Cutler. I mean the insult.
Right.
It's like screw you.
Rodgers is just so mysterious. The other weird thing with Rodgers on the graphic, where they show the players' faces and they put his stats, he looks like he's like 57 years old in this picture. I don't know if he's doing it on purpose or what, but some people you're like, oh, that guy looks young. Rodgers looks old, and I'm sure he's 38 years old.
I imagine him like living in a 1970s van, like on a South African beach, away from the rest of civilization, and he's trying to find the perfect wave down there in Johannesburg or wherever the heck he'd leave the country. He looks like he'd left the country.
I'm so curious what Aaron Rodgers is going to do after he is done playing football. Is he just going to go away?
I just want him to talk to his mom and dad again. Let's just
strained family relationship. He has man bun. He wants to host Jeopardy, or at least he talks about hosting Jeopardy. He talks trash to the Bears fans, which I enjoyed. He's a total mystery, and I think we got to put his team in the Mount Rushmore right now. There's another team that lost week one and then caught on fire.
Green Bay lost week one, and look at them now.
You know what was kind of interesting about the early games? There weren't that many great early games. All the games over here on the West Coast ended early, and they went to bonus coverage on both games of other games.
Yeah.
It was like I had my own little red zone going
cool.
just on regular network TV. I liked it. Liked it as an extra bonus. Okay, unless you have any other games, I have some various questions for this week. If the season ended today, here's your division leaders if the season ended today. In the AFC, Buffalo, Baltimore, Tennessee, Chargers, NFC, Dallas, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Arizona. We already know all this. Wild card teams in the AFC, Vegas and Cincinnati. NFC.
Remember, there's three now.
Oh, there's three. Okay, I left out the very last one then. That probably would be, I don't know off the top of my head in the AFC. The two wild cards in the NFC, Rams. I have three for the NFC. Rams, Minnesota, and New Orleans. So, I'm thinking those wild card teams can beat any of these division leaders right off the bat.
The Bengals absolutely can. The Bengals absolutely can beat some. Especially if they were to draw somebody like the Titans, which I think is a very weak division, because even the Titans, I think, aren't as good as they played last year, and I think they're going to get blown out by Buffalo tomorrow.
Right, Monday night tomorrow.
I'm going to say that they're the most beatable division leader out there, and that the Bengals could advance if they had to play.
Tennessee, weakest division leader. In the NFC, your weakest division leader. Who do you got? This NFC is tough. Dallas, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Arizona are our leaders. Who do you think
Oh,
is
I mean,
the
these
weakest
are.
link of that four?
I'm not even going to say there's a weak link there. I'm just saying, pray for these wild card teams. I will say the one wild card that could do it, but they got blown out by the Cardinals, the Rams. I think the Rams aren't bad. A team to look out for, but they've had some bad breaks, and just mark my word today, October 17th, Minnesota Vikings.
I talked about it last week. Minnesota Vikings are the average looking chick who comes back from spring break and gets her hair straightened. And all of a sudden you're like, whoa, what do I not know about this? Omar, our worst fears have been confirmed. This Sunday night game just went into overtime. What is going on with this
I don't
game?
know how much more of Geno Smith versus Ben Roethlisberger I can take.
We are one bad call away from. I think the NFL just faxed in a rule change. We can have double overtime now, so it's going to happen. Oh, and then we get to explain the overtime rules again. Look, I don't know if you're watching this right now. Russell Wilson is on the field as one of the captains for the coin toss. Russell Wilson cannot stay home. Okay, I have a make you angry segment for you this week, and I think it's going to make you very angry.
Okay.
Number one, let me preface it with this. I always talk about October's a great month for football, but historically, October has been the most controversial month for football. This year we had Urban Meyer's story. We had John Gruden's story. Last year we had COVID stuff. A couple years previous, we had the take a knee for the anthem story, which was going on in October. A couple years previous to that, we had the Ray Rice controversy. So in the spirit of keeping October the most controversial month in the NFL, next week, your San Francisco 49ers will be embroiled in a controversy. I haven't figured out if it's going to involve harassment, racism, reverse racism, possibly immigration, racketeering. San Francisco may be involved with the mob, but next week, your team will be the focus of a controversy. I know it's going to upset you.
That does upset me, but I'm going to tell you why I think you're full of shit. I think John Lynch, given that he's played, there's the key right there. He's played on a championship team. Okay, I think he knows, and I think he knows what can, I guess, end the party, turn the lights out at the party. You know what I mean by that? I think he knows what can make a team crumble, and I think that he's going to be staying away from any controversy, any distraction. So I have all the faith in the world in John Lynch as the GM there.
What if we got some Garoppolo emails coming out? What if we have some? Who else is on that team?
Well, remember Garoppolo, I didn't like in the beginning because he gets his big contract, this trade and then contract to go to San Francisco, leaving New England as Tom Brady's backup. And like his first afternoon out, he's having brunch with a porn star. I didn't like that.
Where's the bad part?
I didn't like that at all.
Omar, you are seriously player hating. I knew this argument would make you mad. Do we know Garoppolo is good? I mean, I know he went to the Super Bowl and he was one overthrow away from winning that Super Bowl. But where did Garoppolo go to college? I feel like I don't even know him. Where did he go to college? Why was he even good in New England? Why did they take him from New England?
Like Delaware? Let me look that up. But go on. I will look that up. But I'm sorry. Eastern Illinois.
What is that?
Isn't that where
Illinois a quarterback factory?
Romo went there, right?
I guess you're right. Yeah. Okay. Romo went there. Start of overtime. They explained the rules. I think everybody knows what's going on. Pittsburgh is kicking off. Seattle will have the first possession. We will update along the way. Russell Wilson is now leading the cheers on the sideline, and now he has a headset on. Okay, great. Russell Wilson is the Seattle Seahawks at this point.
Right.
Okay, are you going to make me angry, or should I move on?
You know what? You were probably angry enough this week, so I'm going to leave it at that.
I'm so angry. I don't get it. They took down Gruden. I think they should have wrote it out unless they want it out of the contract. Okay, number 3 segment. This is the franchise 1-year deal or send to the practice squad. This week, we're going personal fouls, unsportsmanlike conduct. I'm going to give you 3 personal foul, unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, and you're going to choose which one you like. You want a 1-year deal on, you want to send to the practice squad, and one you want to franchise. Personal foul number 1, tripping, face mask, or excessive celebration.
Okay, I get that. Easy. Send to the practice squad, excessive celebration.
Yeah, me too.
It's just some of these things are just so. Some of these penalties are so stupid. I hate the taunting penalties. I hate the excessive celebration. Look, we have a play clock for a reason. If the team wants to choreograph a dance, their clock is ticking for the extra point. That's just the bottom line. Okay, then penalize them there if they don't get to the ball on time. Um, who I'm giving a 1-year deal to. What was the other ones?
Tripping or face mask.
Okay. The face mask. It's because there's some players that just do so like just grab a handful. So you gotta that's just gotta stay. It's gotta stay.
Mm.
But then there's ticky tack. And there's a hand that may have grazed the face mask, but it didn't mean that they used the face
Oh yeah,
mask.
I'm
So I'm
going
saying,
personal foul face mask.
yeah, keep that on a
Grabbing.
keep that on the practice squad.
Okay.
The tripping franchise. That's just you shouldn't be tripping. Don't do that.
I agree. Excessive celebration and then slash taunting. Kick that out. Send that to the practice squad. I'm a big believer in sticks and stones. You can taunt all you want. No, you can't put your hands on anybody. But I say you can always taunt. You can always talk trash. You know what this is going to lead to? Sarcastic taunting.
Oh
It's
yeah,
gonna be like, well, let's get more creative with our taunting. Okay, you can't call someone a name or you can't get in their face. But what if I had a real sarcastic compliment to the
oh
player?
yeah,
Does that still count as taunting?
right,
We're policing a lot of language here,
yeah.
NFL. Okay, franchise is the face mask. I don't want to say I love the face mask penalty, but I like seeing it. I like the confirmation of the face mask penalty when they show the replay and it's nasty. You're like, yep, that's a penalty.
Yeah.
Yep. And then 1-year deal, tripping. The oldest breaking of the rule in the book is tripping someone.
Yeah.
And it's almost childlike when an offensive lineman just sticks out a foot and trips him. It's the most practical joke of all time. And I like that it's a specific rule in the NFL is tripping. So give me a 1-year deal on tripping. It's a fun
Okay.
penalty. Face mask is very satisfying. And taunting slash excessive celebration, throw it out. Okay. Before we get to the final 2, challenge of the week. This one I'm excited about. You and I grew up on NFL prime time.
Right.
Chris Berman, Tej. Look, the Broncos they're good at offense. They're good at look, they can do a lot of things. But the one thing they can do, Chris Berman was essentially our Walter Cronkite. So
Yeah.
I'm going to give you some names, and I want to see how many nicknames, Chris Berman nicknames, you can get correct.
Ooh, I don't think I'm gonna be good, but let's see.
Okay, first one, Joseph Adai.
Oh, he did have. I don't know. I do remember he had one.
Joseph Adai, running back for the Indianapolis Colts. His nickname was Joseph Live and Let Adai.
Ah, yes.
You're off to a bad start. 0 for 1. Okay, next player, Jake Delhomme.
Raging Cajun. I don't know. I think that was the A Bears, but
Omar, I'm very red. Bobby Abear. Who was the Raging Cajun? I feel like there have been 27 people in this life that have been the Raging Cajun. Jake Delhomme. Daylight come and you got a Delhomme.
okay.
0 for 2. Amani Toomer.
I'm just gonna guess it's not a tumor.
You know what? That's what I would have thought. That this was of the era. This was kindergarten. No, I'm surprised you're bad at this. The well-dressed Amani Toomer.
Nice. That's a pretty good name.
Ben
Yeah.
Coates. Come on, Ben Coates. I thought you were gonna breeze through this game, Omar. You're slipping.
No.
We're both
Which
getting
one's
old.
this one?
Ben Coates, tight end for the New England Patriots.
Ah, yes. I know. I don't remember.
Ben Winter Coates was his Chris Berman nickname. Okay. Mike Minter.
No clue.
No? Mike After Dinner Minter was his nickname.
That's pretty clever.
Okay. Bob Christian.
No idea.
By the way, can we pick a more white dude name than Bob Christian?
Right.
Bob Christian's nickname was Bob Sister Christian. You're starting to notice a theme with Berman. He had a lot of classic rock or music themed nicknames.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I forgot about this one. Thurman Thomas.
Oh, I remember that. He did have a nickname from Berman. So I don't even remember a lot of these guys having nicknames, but Thurman did. What was his?
Thermal.
Thermal. I was
Thomas.
gonna say that right now. Thermal.
A lot of alliteration there. Oh, you haven't got one right yet. You got to get one. I got three more. Okay. See if you can get one. Okay, next name. London Fletcher.
I want to guess something like Bridges Falling.
That's not bad. You're wrong though. It is Werewolves of London Fletcher. Another old classic rock music reference.
Old classic rock. Yep.
Warren Zevon. Jay Fiedler.
Don't know.
Jay Fiedler on the Roof.
That's pretty good.
That was a good one. Okay, last one. Maybe you'll get this one. Steve Bono. No, you're stumped. You got all these wrong, Omar.
Hold on. Sonny? I don't know.
You're close. His nickname was Steve I Got You Babe Bono.
Ah, good. All right.
Yeah, that was half a point. You get half a point. Well, you did terrible on that one.
Yeah, that was a you know, if I can back when I was growing up, you know, that NFL primetime would happen right after because ESPN had the Sunday night game. Well, let me go back a little more. It was TNT for a long time when we were kids had the Sunday night game.
We got a Teddy Bridgewater fumble in overtime. So 2 weeks in a row, Teddy Bridgewater can.
Oh, you mean Geno Smith?
Sorry, Geno Smith. I got my QBs mixed up.
Yeah. Yeah, he's bad. TNT had the late Sunday game. ESPN then had the late Sunday game. You know, back in those days, I had to go to bed at 10 o'clock, so I was already feeling pretty drowsy when the nicknames were, you know, getting thrown around. So I probably wouldn't remember them.
That surprises me. You have a good memory. I thought you would remember these. What were some of the other ones? Do you remember there was Curtis, My Favorite Martin? There was Andre Bad Moon Rising. I don't know if that
I remember Bad Moon. I did remember.
Was that a Berman one, or he just called them that as well?
I do remember Bad Moon being a nickname.
Prime Time was Dion, of course. I don't think Berman had that one.
Deion Sanders gave himself the name Prime Time.
He had that one since the age of 15 years old, probably. There was.
Didn't he have one for You're in Good Hands with Allstott?
Oh, right. You're in Good Hands with Allstott. That's right. Mike Allstott was a good one.
I remember that.
There was Eric Sleeping with Bieniemy.
Sleeping with Bieniemy. I didn't know that.
Excellent.
See, you asked me the wrong ones.
And there's probably 3 or 4 other ones because I looked these up. I didn't know these off the top of my head. I looked these up. I found a ton of baseball ones too he had. So Berman was king of the nicknames, or he just king of having a good writing staff for his nicknames. Okay, let's move on from that nonsense. Sunday MVP. I have 3 for today. My Sunday MVPs were number 1, Lamar. He's on fire. He's peaking. They've lost 1 game. Number 2 nominee.
Lamar's great.
Number 2 MVP is Dak. Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
He is that Dallas offense. Zeke didn't even get 100 yards. They don't run him a lot either. So it's all Dak. And then lastly, the Sunday MVP, the New York Jets for having a bye this week. They didn't even have to lose. They won last week. They got an extra week to celebrate. I think that's worthy of being an MVP.
Yeah, that's great. And I was happy the Niners didn't lose today with the bye week. But I'm going to throw a name out there too. At the receiver position, and I think obviously it helps having all the weapons, but DeAndre Hopkins is a beast. He's a beast. He's my son's favorite player, but he's just a great wide receiver.
Your son's still sticking with the division rival Arizona Cardinals, huh?
He's going to stick with it, yep.
How much therapy do you think he or you will have to take at some point for this?
We're going to have some issues.
You already know now. Pittsburgh has won the game 23-20.
Really quick about that, Patrick. I don't know if you were watching, but they got the ball after the fumble, and it's on first down, and they're deep in Seattle territory. And on first down, all Brent Roethlisberger does is he just puts the ball in the center of the hash marks. Okay, that's on first down.
Yeah.
I could understand that being your third down play or, your second down play in case of the bad snap on third if you try to kick it. But it seems like maybe a coach is saying, I'm not in the mood for any of your antics or bad throws. Yeah. Just even if it's first down, I don't want to lose this.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't have a problem with that. Ben Roethlisberger already fumbled in this game. We're in overtime. We want to forget this day ever happened. Now I'm thinking Russell Wilson is on a phone call right now to some German lab to say, how do I fix my finger for next week? There's no way I can let Geno Smith throw away another game for us.
Right.
Okay, way too early coach of the year this week. I'm going Sean McVay. I say this is his week. This is his year. I say he wins coach of the year. The Stafford, he's going to take all the credit for acquiring Matt Stafford. I say he's coach of the year. Way too early.
Watch out for Mike Zimmer. I think a few plays go their way these last few weeks. They could have been a 5-1 team themselves. So you watch out for Mike Zimmer. I think 3-3, and I think this is as bad as it's going to get for the Vikings.
So you're buying stock on the Vikings right now?
I am. I really am.
Really? The Vikings do this to us every year, don't they?
They may not catch them. I don't think they're going to catch the Packers, but they're not bad.
Vikings. I never know what to think about the Vikings. It seems like they always do enough just to let you down. Okay. Time for legal ramifications. Good week for legal ramifications questions. So this week, Omar, lawyer to the greater general public, I want to know what constitutes a protective conversation. I know attorney-client privileges, what that is.
There's many types of privileges, not only attorney, but physician-patient privilege is one.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, certain people have security clearances. And that have to be that are legally respected.
What about something in the financial world like to avoid insider trading or something like that? Like employer to employee, is there some form of protection there?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these things depends on what kind of setup your company set up as far as security and leaks go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that you may be violating a company policy by sending an email, let's say from your personal email to somebody, and that could be a problem.
Okay, so I know that someone cannot record me without my consent. So knowing that, what part of emails or some sort of digital record of communication can be or cannot be protected? If someone says, okay, you read my emails, but that was on the company server, that's on my company email, I can follow that logic. But in my personal email, say in this Gruden situation, Is there ever any precedence? Is there ever an argument for protected conversation?
I think so. I think so, but I think still the onus is on the person that's sending and reading stuff. Like you just got to do a better job protecting. But I do know that there are state laws now that if you get into somebody's email, you could be facing criminal responsibility. And it's just like if you record a conversation with somebody, um, and they don't because that was a big issue. And remember, and I mean obviously this was bad before, but Erin Andrews being recorded in the privacy of her hotel room, that obviously is a big no, and there's more laws nowadays protecting uh, people in the city that were in the position of Erin Andrews. But yeah, I mean, the states are enacting laws that if you record phone conversations without the other person knowing, surveil people without them knowing, it's
That's illegal.
there's gonna be some crime.
So, in this world of emails and also with the recording of the conversation, the Rachel Nichols thing from 4 or 5 months ago, where she's recorded on a conference call and she says something to the effect of
Oh, why
somebody,
the other person got the
yeah,
job and she didn't?
yeah, and then she's recorded, but then I'm thinking like, can you just put out someone's recorded voice without their consent? Isn't this protected? So here's a question. Okay, you mentioned the Erin Andrews thing. Okay, she's being recorded illegally in secret. What if Erin Andrews was committing a crime and she's recorded illegally? What about that crime? What's going on there? Is that protected? Can that not be entered into a court?
No, that there'd be two crimes there then. There could be
Wait,
two
but
crimes.
but then the Erin Andrews crime would not be admissible, or would it?
No, I think it. I mean, our arguments can be made that it shouldn't be, but you know, I think law enforcement would would definitely try to figure out a way to charge her too.
Right, but they couldn't use the legally obtained recording though.
They'll figure it out. Believe
They'll
me,
figure
yeah, I've seen this. Yeah, they'll figure it out.
they'll figure it out. But by the letter of the law, but it leads me to this email like to what degree are we protected through our privacy? Are we getting down to the our only privacy is what we have is what's in our own heads? Is there, to your knowledge, any law currently where if I send an email, my emails cannot be investigated? If someone said like, "Hey, I want to see your emails. I want to see your personal emails." Do I have any right to say no you can't?
Yeah, get a warrant.
Get a warrant. Yeah. So, I guess in this Gruden thing, I mean, he didn't break any laws. We just don't like it because of
What he
what he
said.
said. So,
Right.
but yeah, it's not like he broke any laws. But if someone says, "I want to see your cell phone," you got to have a warrant or something, i.e., the
Yeah.
Tom Brady thing from a long time ago. If I
Right.
want to see your emails, I want to see a warrant. But if you're the company or someone's investigating, i.e., the NFL, and they want to
Right.
look through your emails, they can do that.
Right.
And do I have any legal recourse to say, "Hey, NFL, you can't look at my personal emails"? Do I have any legal standing to say that?
I think you could. I think the argument can be made that you can't see them. Yeah.
Yeah, in the Gruden case, the damage has been done. You can't put this back in the bottle. But did the NFL commit a crime or not? And if it's personal email, I don't know. I don't know if we've come across this question yet.
No, it's going to be interesting to see how they got that stuff.
Yeah, with all the technology, text messages, emails, Snapchats, what is protected and what is not. So, recording with your consent, we know, emailing and this stuff in the digital world. How much goes into creating new laws on just a continuous basis these days with new technology?
Again, the law's always changing, so absolutely. I mean, yeah, the laws change with time. So, yeah, absolutely.
What if what if John Gruden sent that email, not an email, say he wrote that in a letter and sent it in the mailbox,
It's
and
the
they
same.
say the
It's the
government
same
or
thing.
the NFL can still open your mail? I thought that was illegal. You see what I'm saying? My question is, they
No,
investigated his
I think they
personal
would need.
emails.
I think they would also have to have some sort of warrant, but we don't know. Did John Gruden sign something in his contract that said, "Hey, if you want to be an NFL employee, that you represent the Shield, quote unquote." I mean, can we look
I
into?
think he was an employee of ESPN, though. He wasn't an NFL employee.
Right?
This was from his personal.
Or ESPN maybe does the same thing. I don't know.
Yeah. So we don't know. This seems like we're breaking new ground.
Did they search Gruden's email, or did they just find the emails through Allen?
They found it through Allen. They're investigating Washington.
And he was an NFL employee at the time.
Bruce Allen was.
Yeah.
But not John Gruden.
No, but
so
tough.
Who's exposed here and who is not. So yeah, my question would be, how do I communicate any sensitive material? Say it was a material like about trades, about financial stuff. How do people communicate privately or securely these days?
That's crazy. You're right.
Everything in the digital world can be recovered.
Absolutely, everything. I've seen
everything can be recovered. Yeah.
And so I'm just going to end it with this. I want to see OJ's email.
Hey, no one's recording those Call of Duty games, right?
But I just want to see OJ's. Let's just do this. Say, OJ, we'll give you your records back. I just want to see the email.
Hey, Twitter world, it's yours truly, OJ Simpson. Like, why does OJ keep signing off his emails with yours truly, OJ Simpson?
Right.
For the Sunday Night Talk, this was week 6. This was Omar Carmona. This was the never-ending Sunday night Pittsburgh Seahawks game. Omar, thanks for joining. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Okay, that is it. That is the show. That is week 6. That's the Sunday Night Talk. That's Omar. Hey, how about the Berman Challenge? Did you see Omar going 0 for 10 at that? I'm questioning this man's NFL knowledge. I have to rethink this whole thing. Carmona, where's your head at? I'm going to blame it on the 49ers bye week. Sunday Night Talk. Don't forget to check me out next month on the 11th of November, 9:30 in Burbank, California. For all you West Coasters out there, I am at Flappers Comedy Club. FlappersComedy.com is where you go for all that information. That was the Sunday Night Talk for week 6. That was the game that would never end. Pittsburgh, Seattle. That's Russell Wilson injecting human growth hormone into his finger so he can get back on the field as soon as possible. Don't rule it out. The guy's a gamer. Thank you all those for listening. If you're new to my channel, go check out all my previous videos too. Give them a subscribe to the channel so you can see all the stuff that's coming out. Not to mention on Running It Back, I have some fun stuff planned. So be on the lookout. For Omar Carmona and for me, Patrick Ramirez, that was the Sunday Night Talk. We will see you next week.